Hello students. So we'll continue with your chapter 11, that is data control link. In the first part of the video, we have seen regarding the DLC services. In this part, we are going to study regarding the data link layer protocols. Traditionally, four protocols has been defined for the data link layer to deal with the flow and the error control. They were simple, stop and wait, go back and the selective repeat. As far as the simple and stop and wait are concerned, they have been still in use. But as far as go back and selective repeat are concerned, they are hardly being used nowadays. Okay, the behavior of the data link layer protocols can better be shown as a finite state machine. The term when you say finite, it means that you can actually count it. So in these cases, you'll be having the states, you'll be having the events, and you'll be having something called as the actions. The FSM is thought as a machine with a finite numbers of states. The machine is always in one of the states until an event occurs. In case suppose it is there in the state 1 students, if some event occurs, okay, and in that event suppose some action is to be taken place, okay, so there may be cases that the state may change its state, that is from state 1 it can go to the state 2. There also may be cases that after the events has occurred, it can remain in the same state as well. Each event is associated with two reactions. Defining the list, probably empty, of actions to be performed and determining the next state, which can be the same as the current state. One of the state must be defined as the initial state, the state in which the machine starts when it turns on. So the same thing is being shown in a diagrammatic form over here. Okay, so over here if you go to see, there are state 1 and state 2. This arrow indicates is nothing but the start of the state. So the event or the actions, okay, is going to get started from the state 1. When you are there in the state 1, if event 1 occurs, so there are two actions to be performed. So action 1 and actions 2 are to be done. But once the event is also done, it changes its states from state 1 to state 2. As far as the state 2 is concerned, if event 2 occurs, the actions that will be performed will be your action 3. But over here, if you go to see students, it remains in the same state. If you are there in the state 2 and event 3 occurs, but there are no actions to be performed, but it changes the state and comes back to the state 1. So in such cases, the figure shows that the machines with two states actually, there are only 3 possible events and 3 possible actions. The machine starts in state 1. If event 1 occurs, the machine performs actions 1 and actions 2 and moves to state 2. When the machine is in state 2, two events may occur. That is over here. That is event 2 and here event 3. If event 1 occurs, the machine performs actions 3. That is if event 2 it performs the actions 3 and remains in the same state, that is state 2. If event 3 occurs, it performs no actions but it moves to the state 1. So as far as the protocols are concerned, we will be studying this protocol also in detail. So we will go with the first one, that is the simple protocol. Our first protocol is the simple protocols which with neither flow or error control is there over here. We assume that the receiver can immediately handle any frame it receives. In other words, the receiver can never be overwhelmed with incoming frames. Now this is shown in the diagrams. Now over here if you go to see students, you will be having the sender as well as the receiver. So for the simplicity purposes, we have only kept the two layers, that is the network and the data link. So the message from the network layer will come inside the data link layer and the message will be sent, okay, through the logical ring, that is nothing but frames. So the moment it comes over here at the receiver end, it is going to get received at the data link and then it is going to move forward to the network layer. The data link layer at the sender gets the packet from its network layer, makes the frame out of it and sends the frame. So you already studied in the previous videos also that the message in the data link is called as the frames. So you are supposed to generate the frames. The data link layer at the receiver receives the frames from the link, extracts the packet from the frames and delivers the packet to the network layer. The data link layer of the sender and receiver provides transmission services for their network layers. The next thing that we are going to study is FSMs, that is the finite state machines. As far as the FSM is concerned, the sender side should should not send a frame until its network layer has a message to send. So in these cases, what we are going to do is, until the network layer is having the message, you cannot send the message. So the receiver also has to wait. The receiver side cannot deliver the message to its network layer until the frames arrives. We can show this requirements using two FSMs. Each FSM has only one state, the ready state. The sending machine remains in the ready state until a request comes from the process of the network layer. So initially the machine will be there in the ready state itself. So it will remains in the ready state until the message from the network layer is been received by them. When the event occurs, the sending machine encapsulates the message in a frames and send it to the receiving machine. So it sends the frames. The receiving machine remains in the ready state until a frames arrives from the sending machine. When this event occurs, the receiving machine decapsulates. See, that encapsulations will be there. So at the receiver end, you are supposed to decapsulate the message out of the frame and it delivers it to the process, okay, to the network layer. So as far as this diagram is concerned, you'll be able to see at the sending state, okay, start state, it will be in the ready state itself. So the packets comes from the network layer and it makes the frame and it sends to the receiving node. At the receiving node, it will be there in the ready state itself. The moment it gets the packet, it decapsulates it and then it forwards the packets to the, that is the frames to the network layer. Now, as far as this figure is concerned, this is the example that has been given. So as far as this is concerned, no students, it's a simple example where there is no loss of the frames are shown, nothing. Everything is going very smoothly. So as far as this diagram is concerned, that is the sending node, you'll be having the two layers, that is the network and the data link layer. The packet is going to come to the your data link layer. It is going to send in the form of a frames. At the receiving end, it is going to get received at the data link layer and the packet is forwarded to the network layer and so on. Okay, but as far as this diagram is concerned, we have actually shown that everything is going very smoothly. The sender is sending the frame, but the receiver is receiving the frame. But in reality, it won't be the same. In reality, there will be cases that the frame is lost, all such things, or the frame is having an error, all such things is going to happen. So the next protocols we are going to study, that is the stop and wait protocol. Thus, over here, you'll be able to see that the flow and the error control is there. So the second protocol is the stop and wait protocols, which uses the flow and the error control. In this protocol, the sender sends one frame at a time. Now, here the sender is going to send the frame and waits for an acknowledgement before sending the next one. So in these cases, what is going to happen? The sender is going to send the message, okay, and it is going to wait for a particular amount of time. The moment the receiver receives the message, now students, it has to send an acknowledgement to the sender. What was the acknowledgement takes is nothing but it tells the sender that the packets or the frames has been arrived nicely without any error and you can send the next one. So this is an indicator or the acknowledgement frames tells the sender. To detect the corrupted frames, we need to add cyclic redundancy check, okay, to each frame. When the frames arrive at the receiver side, it is checked. If the CRC is incorrect, the frame is corrupted and is silently discarded. So, in case suppose after receiver, okay, it receives the frames, it checks for if any errors are there inside the frames by using the cyclic redundancy check methods. So in case suppose if there is no errors, the data link layer is going to forward it to the next upper layers. But in case suppose it finds that there are some errors, the frame is discarded. Okay, but over here what is going to happen? The sender is waiting for the acknowledgement for a specific amount of time. If the sender does not receive the acknowledgement, what it assumes that the receiver has not received the packet properly, or it must have got discarded, or it must have got lost. So it again sends the same frames again to the receiver. So in these cases, it is written the same. The silence of the receiver in the signal from the sender that the frame has been either corrupted or lost. Every time the sender sends a frame, it starts a timer. If an acknowledgement arrives before the time expires, the timer is stopped and the sender sends the next frame. If it has to send some other frames. If the timer expires and the sender resends the previous frame, assuming that the frame is either lost or it is corrupted. This means that the sender needs to keep a copy of the frame until the acknowledgement arrives. When the corresponding acknowledgements arrives, the sender discards the copy and then sends the next frame if it is ready. Okay. So the same thing has been shown as far as the diagram is concerned. That is the stop and wait protocol. Okay. This is your sender. This will be your receiver. Okay. As far as the duplex is concerned, both the time sending and receiving will take place. So the message will be created from the network layer. It is going to come to the data link layer. In the data link layer, the message will be converted into a form of a frames, which is also is having the CRC, that is cyclic redundancy check, and it is going to go to the receiver node. At the receiver node, it is going to check whether the frame is having any errors or not. If it is having any errors, it is going to get discarded. If not, it is going to get transferred to the upper layer. If the message has been arrived at the receiver end without any errors, so the receiver is going to send an acknowledgement. Acknowledgement also has a CRC, so it is going to come at the sender. Okay, this is going to tell the sender that the previous message whatever was sent was proper without any error. Clear? In case if the sender is sends the frame, okay, and it's going to set a timer, fine. So after a particular timer is expires, if the acknowledgement is not received, the sender is going to assume that the frame is not being received by the receiver in the proper way. Either it has been corrupted or either it's been lost. So it resends the frame. So the FSMs over here is the same thing, students. Your sending node, you are going to get started where the packet is going to get come from the network layer. So you are going to make a frame, save the same copy, send the frame and start the timer. Once it reaches over here, okay, that is in the blocking state, which means that timeout, resend the saved frame. So on restart the timer. In case suppose the timeout has occurred, you are supposed to resend the saved frames and again restart the timer. Or else corrupted acknowledgement arrived. There may be a cases where the acknowledgement arrived itself is corrupted. So you are going to discard the acknowledgement. In that cases, error-free acknowledgement is arrived, you stop the timer and discard the saved frame. In case suppose there are any frames to be sent again, then the next frames are sent. As far as the receiver side is concerned, we're going to get, it will be there in the ready state itself. So if corrupted frame is arrived, it is going to discard it. If error-free frames is arrived, it is going to extract and deliver the packet to the network layer, that is the above layer, and it is going to send the acknowledgement to the sender. Now the same thing has been explained over here in detail. So as far as the sender state is concerned, the sender is initially in the ready state, but it can move between the ready and the blocking state. So what is exactly is the ready state is? Inside the ready state, when the sender is in that state, it is only waiting for the packet from the network layer, because it has to send. Until and unless the message comes from the above layer, you cannot send anything. The packet comes from the network layer, the sender creates a frame. This creation of the frame will be in the data link layer. Saves a copy, start the timer and sends the same frame again. The sender then moves to the blocking state. What is the blocking state? What happens over here? When the sender is in this state, three events can occur. If a timeout occurs, the sender resends the saved copy from the frame and restarts the timer. If a corrupted acknowledgement arrives, it is discarded. If an error-free acknowledgement arrives, the sender stops the timer, discards the saved copy of the frame and then moves the ready state. As far as the receiver is concerned, the receiver is in the ready state. Two events may occur. If it is error-free frames arrives, the message in the frame is delivered to the network layer and an acknowledgement is sent. If not, if the corrupted frame is arrives, then the frame is discarded. Okay. As far as the examples that have been given over here, I'll directly explain you the examples that is there. That is your example 11.3. Students will come over here to the diagrams. Okay. You are having a sending node. You will be having the receiving node. So you are inside this, you will be having your network layer, data link layer. So the packet is going to come. Frame is going to, so the message will be converted in the form of a frame. It is going to go to the data link layer of the receiver and the packet is sent above layer. If it is arrived properly, yes, it is going to get sent to the above layer and an acknowledgement is sent to the sender. If the acknowledgement is arrived in the proper timing, okay, so the sender is going to send the next frame. Assume that the frame has been lost now. It has not been reached at the receiver. So the timer is already been set by the sending node for the acknowledgement. Now the acknowledgement is not going to get received because the frame itself is lost. So it resends the frame and waits for the acknowledgement again. Within the time, if the acknowledgement comes, then it sends the next. There may be a cases where the frame is sent, okay, but the acknowledgement which was sent by the receiver is lost. So what does the sender does? Waits for some time. Since they not received the acknowledgement, resend the same frame. So at the receiver node, it comes to know that the packet is duplicate, and it comes to also to know that the acknowledgement must have been lost. So it again sends the acknowledgement to the sender. Clear? So as far as this example is concerned, it is there over here. So we'll go to the next example, that is the example 11.4. So it is actually been shown in the diagrams over here. So I'll explain you all this. Assume that students, I want to, since frames have been sent, frames has to be given a number. Name numbers of the frames will be what? 0, 1. Suppose you have sent a frame 0. The acknowledgement will be 1. Suppose you have sent a frame 1, that is the frame number 1, the acknowledgement will be 0. Please do keep this in mind. So at the sender, okay, and the receiver, at the sender, you will be having the packet. At the data link layer, you will be converting those packet in the form of a frame. So the frame number will be 0. The packet has been arrived properly, that is the frame has arrived properly, and it is got sent to the network. So the acknowledgement over here will be 1 and not 0. Please keep this in mind. Okay, so it is going to get that is the sender is going to get the acknowledgement as 1. So it directly indicates that the message has been received properly at the receiver. The next, if you go to see, a packet has come, frame 1, now frame 0. So because of that, frame 1. Frame 1 lost. Now acknowledgement, the sender is going to set the timer. Acknowledgement has not been received. So it again resend the same frame. This time, if the message has been arrived properly at the receiver node, it is going to go to the above layer. And the acknowledgement number will be 0. The third conditions can be frame 0 now, because this was frame 1. This will be my frame 0. So frame 1 is been sent. The message will go to the above layer. If it is proper, then the acknowledgement number will be 1. Acknowledgement is lost. So in that cases, what does the sender does? It waits for some time, but the acknowledgement has not received. So it resends the same frame, that is the frame 0. Okay, and then it is going to get top, because it is not going to go on top because it is the duplicate, and an acknowledgement 1 is sent. So please do keep in mind, when the frame 0 is sent, acknowledgement number will be 1. When the frame 1 is sent, acknowledgement number will be 0. Okay, so these were the two examples that are there. It's the same thing what is been mentioned over here. So I'll go with the next, that is FSM with a sequence and acknowledgement number. We can see change the FSM in the figure, that is your figure number 11.11 that we have already seen, that is over here. Include a sequence and acknowledgement numbers, but we leave this at the end of the chapter. So it totally depends upon you. The next subtopic that we are going to study is the piggybacking. Now in these cases, we have two protocols we discuss in these sections, okay, are designed for unidirectional communication, in which the data is flowing only in one direction, although the acknowledgement may travel in the other. But in these cases, we have already seen, as per this diagram, only one sender is sending the frame, the receiver is just sending the acknowledgement. Okay, protocols may have been designed in the past to allow the data to flow in both the directions. What if even the receiver wants to send the data? However, to make these communications more efficient, the data in one direction is piggybacked with an acknowledgement in the other directions. In other words, when node A is sending the data to node B, node A also acknowledges the data received from the node B. So in that cases, what is going to happen? The sender, okay, and the receiver is there. If the receiver sends the data to the sender, okay, that is, if this is my node A and this is my node B, okay, if node B sends the data to node A, then this node A has to send an acknowledgement to the node B. So we'll be studying this in the coming chapters, so in detail. With this, students, I'll stop this part of the video. There will be many other part of the chapter. So this is the second part. Please go through. If any queries are there, please do let me know. Thank you.